Light catch. Run. Yeah. Hello YouTubers and welcome to another episode of the vlogs. Today we have the first day of final trials, the Saturday of final trials. Don't really know when this video is going out, but as you saw, we had a little bit of a paddle there. Had a little bit of filming issues with the memory card, but it's all good now, I hope. And I've been told that'll be the last footage there will be off of the boat by some of the people here at Caversham. They don't want me to be giving off the wrong signals and say I'm not focusing on the racing, because we are here to race, not to film. There are other photographers and other people here that might be able to take some video, but that's not their job. They're here to do other stuff. So if they can, that's great. If not, that's fine. But we have the time trial now coming up. So what we do after the pre-warm-up, the pre-paddle, is we chill out, relax, make sure the energy levels are there. So I'm going to just have a little bit of food, but not too much, because we only have 45 minutes or so. And then we have the semi-final after that. But we're only looking at the first thing, and that is the time trial. So we're going to, it's one by one, 1900 meters, flying down this piece of water behind me right here as fast as we can. And that is it. But now it's time to just chill out, relax, and wait. And now we've had a bit of recovery, it's time to get on the water. And we have made it off the water after our time trial. So the time trial itself is 1900 meters, one by one, and then gaps in between timed by the coaches. But the results are in, and unfortunately Robson and I were on the wrong side of there was 10 seconds between, or 9 seconds between first and 13th. We were bound number 13 and we ended up 13th in the time trial, 0.3 to the next person. And it's one of those things, 13th is a place, so you need to be in 12th to be in the AB semi. And it's very disappointing for us because we had a decent race, but there was definitely things where we were like, okay, well that could have made us faster, this could have made us faster. So we could have easily made that 0.3 up and then be in the AB semi, but we have to take positives from what we're doing, and that's what we're trying to do. And then we're going into the CD semi-final this afternoon, but first things first, got to get some recovery in. So a little bit of fuel, chilling out. We've got quite a few hours, so we're going to head back to the club. So let's get to it. And we've made it back to the club. We're just about to leave the club. We've had a little bit of a nap, a little bit of food to fuel up, because remember, food is fuel. And we're just trying to make sure we're still taking the positives from our race earlier. There was 0.3 seconds from 13th to 12th, and then 9 seconds overall from 13th to 1st, and 4 seconds between the first 10. But that is the nature of trials. We are obviously on the unfortunate side of it. Very disappointing, but now to go back to Caversham and see what we can do in the CD semi-final. So let's get to it. And we've made it back to Caversham now. Just gonna have a little chat about what happens now. So it's pretty rubbish for Robson and I. We don't feel great, but now it's all about trying to pick ourselves back up after a bad result. And so how do you do that? It's all sort of up to you and individual. So I'll be back in Robson, Robson's going to be back in me, and then we're going to have a little chat now, see what we can do in this next race. see what we can do better, and then speak to the coach as well, see what we can do to make the weekend not feel completely not good. So we want to, like I said before, we want to take the positives from the race before, and we were trying to back ourselves and lift ourselves up from a bit of a bump in the road. There's a lot of I've spoken to a few people through today through the break, and people are saying it's not about it's how you deal with failures rather than the results and failures, which I agree with to a certain extent, but it can still be difficult to deal with. But now I'm going to put the camera down and we'll see you after the semi-final, and I'll let you know how it goes. Let's get to it.
Yeah, Clayton! Yeah, Fred! Yeah, Colour!
And we have made it outside of Caversham for another day. As you saw there, that was the AB semi-finals. I'm not sure if there's actually, I'm going to be able to get any footage of Robson and I in the pair, but that footage there at the end was the AB semi-finals with George and Harry storming through for the win in their AB semi, so they will be in the A final. Unfortunately, some of the other guys didn't have some great rows, but it's really good to see the level of competition that is needed. I'm not sure where Robson and I would have been if we were on the other side of that 0.3 seconds, but you got to do what you have to play the hand you are dealt with, which is what we did today. And then once we get back to the club, after a little bit of fueling up, of course, we'll talk about just sort of dealing with failures a little bit, because as you saw earlier on the video, I was a bit down, and it's just trying to make the best of things when they're not going your way. So we'll get to that. And we have made it back to the club. So I'm just going to chat a little bit about what I was saying about how to maybe motivate yourself when things aren't going your way. So obviously this morning was not great. It was the result was indicative of our performance, but our performance was not up to our potential. And the coaches and Robson and I are really excited about our potential, but it's just a bit, when it doesn't get there, when you don't make it click on the race day, like I've been talking about throughout the week, it's all about the performance on the pitch, on the court, on the water, on the track. Like when you don't hit that potential, when you don't have a good race, that's when you when you can finish a race and think, I've done everything I can, then there's nothing really you can do. But when you finish a race and you think, this could have been done better, that could have been done better, then you're thinking, that was bad. So today for me, that's what was going through my head. I was saying that was bad, that I didn't do so hot, why, etc. So I was chatting to the coaches, and we talked about sort of how it was looking, and maybe you can see in the video of that just how it was looking there and what I could do to improve that. And then I was just talking to someone asking me on Instagram, DM me, how did it go? And they're asking, and I said, okay, here's the result. And this just said, a quote from Winston Churchill: "Victory is not final, defeat is not fatal, it's the courage to continue forward that counts." And I definitely agree with that, but it is a difficult pill to swallow kind of thing. Failure is rubbish. You build up, especially for like me and for people that are like building up to something over a long period of time. So this has been 6 months or so in just building up to it, and we don't perform how we want to perform. So it kind of like letting the Yam squad down a little bit, just feeling like spent so much time, so much effort, and on the day it's supposed to count, or the day it does count, the result isn't where, not so much where we want it to be, of course it wasn't, but just where the result is, or where we are capable of having the result. So how do you deal with that? How do you make things better when things aren't going your way? How do you motivate yourself? And so for me, even just having that quote from someone, chatting to the coaches, chatting to my pairs partner, having just a little bit of time to myself, backing off a bit and thinking, obviously sometimes you think, what's the point? What's the point of doing whatever you're doing? And so when you have a failure, usually you come out of that failure and everything's terrible. And then you take a step back and it eases off, and you take another step back and it eases off, and then you can start examining what's going on. Okay, why was that? Why did that failure happen? Sometimes it's really easy to point things out. So for example, in a rowing race, you could hit a couple of buoys and that could have taken you out a lane, and then something like that could have happened. Okay, don't do that, and that's speed. But that didn't happen with us today. It was more about just getting the right rhythm for us today. But it's finding out and analysing what you did wrong, and then using that to say, okay, may not be the opportunity that I wanted to have, but I do have another opportunity at some point, whether for us it was in the afternoon today, or whether it is the next week, the next month, or even the next year. So for me, it was the afternoon, and so what I did was, okay, I spoke to the coaches, what do I have to do differently? And we said, okay, try this. And Robson and I felt like, and Robson had something similar, something from the coach as well, and we both worked on that together, and it made for a better row. We felt more in control of what we were doing, and then we also didn't have a ridiculous wind at the end suggesting that we didn't put in the right amount of intensity in the middle. So that's probably how I would motivate myself. Really, like, deal with the failure, how you deal with it. But then once you've done that, just a short period of time, for me just an hour, half an hour, be back off and think, okay, it's been a little bit of time, and what do I have to do differently to improve? And that's pretty much how I would really look at failures and how you can use them to motivate yourself. So I've failed many times throughout the vlogs, I've failed loads of times, and how do I use those to motivate? And it's learning from those experiences, which is a huge thing. It's an opportunity to learn, but also it's an opportunity to see how tough you are. Some people fail and stop. Some people fail and get better and push on. So which one of those people could you be? But there's a bit of a choppy video today, not a lot of rowing footage, a little bit of going through trials. Like I said earlier, I wanted to put the camera on the boat, but coach didn't want me to. So not so much rowing footage, but hopefully I've not blethered on for too long and you've enjoyed it. Tomorrow I'll see what we're filming, and then I'll maybe put another video up of the finals day at final trials. But that will be it for today, Yam Squad. Hopefully it's just a little bit of an insight into my head a little bit, and I'm trying to make this, even just the videos, as a diary of the ups and the downs as well. So, as always, Yam Squad, remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button, and have a good one.